Garrett Ross, as you see, decked out in his NHL opening day garb because Garrett is our resident hockey superfan.
Yes, I am.
I think, I'm a hockey fan. I'm not a hockey super fan.
It's my favorite sport.
Yeah. You love it. We need to get to a Stars game. Yes. I know that our wives said that we wanted to go, but I don't know if we should take them.
I mean, I could do without.
Have to.
Yeah.
But,
unfortunately.
If we could just go without them.
Oh, man.
But
see, that's I've never been to an NHL game, and I'm in the spot where my wife, if I went without her first, it'd piss her off.
Furious.
Oh, my God, yeah.
My wife is a bigger hockey fan than me. She, and here's the thing, is because she's lived in two cities that have NHL teams.
Right.
I've only lived in one, although I will say that when I was there in Tampa, they won the Stanley Cup.
Y'all were rolling, at that time.
So, by the way, thoughts going out to everybody in Florida right now. I have a lot of friends there, friends who I consider family, people who I'm really close with. My family's all pretty much here in Texas now, but I've been thinking about them. I've gotten messages from some of them, friends who have family still down there, people I haven't talked to yet, just kind of checking in. Hurricane Milton was devastating. If you saw the trop, and it tore the roof off of it.
Completely gone.
Which is, when you say thank heaven for little miracles, thank God the first responders weren't already there. Mm-hmm. They weren't there yet, and they were able to find another place to put them. But the Tampa Tribune, I believe, a crane fell through the building. There's devastation all over Southwest and Central Florida. My friend in Orlando came through okay. His street is just trashed with trees, but no flooding. Once-in-a-lifetime flooding. So my heart is always with the people of Florida because as long as I've been a adopted Texan, I'm a Floridian, I think, at heart. I think that's where I was telling you guys about a show and a book I was watching that's in Florida, and it really speaks to me. I haven't lived there in 20 years now, but it does call to me sometimes where I miss that. I miss it so much. And
have you ever been down to Hemingway's house?
Yes, I have. Twice. Once when I was a kid, before I'd read anything but Old Man and the Sea. And when you're 12 and read Old Man and the Sea, maybe don't appreciate Hemingway as much, even though because I was made to read this book, please read, you have to read Old Man and the Sea. And you're like, this is just a book about a guy catching a fish. What's the deal? And then as you get, I read it again. I remember reading it again in college and going this is one of the most beautiful story. It's a sports book. It's about digging deep. It's about all that. So yes, I've been down to Hemingway's house. I've been there a couple times. I haven't been in a very long time. I'd really much like to take Amanda to Key West and see all that. It's for all the crap that Florida gets, and a lot of it is deserved. I'm not going to say that it's not. I would tell you that living there, any place you live, the crap is mostly deserved. It's 80-20. There's 20% of things that are myth and 80% of things that are real.
Right.
We have that in Texas. That I would say is 20% myth and 80% real.
Yeah, we don't all ride horses and all that crap.
No, we don't. But it really is an amazing place, and there are really cool things in Florida. I'm a really big conservationist when it comes to things, especially in that state when you have things like the Everglades and the Keys and this stuff that just doesn't it's just not other places.
No, it's
right.
Very
it's
unique.
unique, and if we don't take care of it, it's going to go away. It's going to not be there, and people won't get to commune with it as much. And so I know that's really hippie sounding, but
speaks to me.
That's how I know that when I was a kid and in the outdoors in Florida, you really you see some cool stuff.
Oh, I bet.
It's scary to see an alligator in person, but also you're hell yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
We saw a gator. Nothing happened. Took care of it. I'm not scared of those things.
I think the only one I've seen wild gator I've seen was on I-10 leaving New Orleans. And it was just posted up on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
I was like, man.
Yeah, no, and that you see those. It's great. So Yeah. By the way, Pierre. So Pierre was supposed to be here today. Mm-hmm. He let me know yesterday. And if you guys can maybe guess the tone of this text.
Oh, I bet it was just joyful.
He was like, "Hey, I just found out that I've got assigned to go to New York for the WNBA finals." I mean, it's just like, it was one of those things that, like, of all the things you could go to New York last minute for,
right?
It's not his
it's
bag.
Not that thing, yeah.
I'll just tell you, it's not his bag. Like, it's fine. Like, I said, well, it's going to be better than it has. He's like, everything's way better than it was when I first got here. Like,
right.
That's no question about that. But he was just like, I was kind of hoping it would be somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think the whole, like, you get to a point where it's very cool to travel for work. But when you're especially when you're in a market like Minneapolis and you have to travel all the time, like the Twins do something good, you've got to travel.
Right.
The Vikings, they're traveling with the Vikings everywhere they go because that's the big, that's the NFL. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Minnesota, you've got to send somebody there to cover the Gophers. They just beat USC, so like now there's renewed interest in that from even like passive fans, right? And you've got a hockey team. You got a WNBA team. He spent the whole month of June on the road with the Timberwolves.
Right.
So, like, when you get that, like, next one where it's like, oh, now I have to be gone for another couple days, it really doesn't matter what it is.
It'll wear on you, man.
What?
It'll wear on you.
It gets to you because you're like, because you don't. I mean, I would compare it to being at a convention in a city where you can maybe see a couple of things,
right?
But you're not on vacation.
True.
So mostly, like when you go to a convention in a city, like Caroline Lindstrom used to be one of our producers at the radio station. I saw on Instagram that she was in Poipu on Kauai, which is where I got engaged, and I love Kauai. Kim Coulter goes to Kauai all the time. I love Kauai. And so I sent her a message like, oh, hey, you're going to have a blast there. And she's like, well, I don't know. I'm at a convention. And I was like, oh, what a terrible place.
I know.
To like have a convention, not because it's awful. It's wonderful. But like,
you don't get to enjoy it.
Can you like, why are you putting people inside in this wonderful place? Like it's like
have it outside.
Yeah. But then like you can't have it outside because we're like, oh, look at that.
Distracted.
Let's just go take a walk, and see all this beautiful, stuff that's got going on here. Oh, you can take a boat tour around the coast, and it's unbelievable. And you'll see sea turtles and fish and all these wonderful things. Dolphins and all that. Like, you'll see it all. So it's not great. Like, people have conventions, and like Vegas is a good convention city because it's not an outside city.
Everything's inside.
It's an inside city. So when you're done, you just stay inside and go do something.
And everything's connected too. Like
everything's
what you're going to do is inside of a casino or something.
Yeah. So and New York is a great place to go do things. The thing is that there's a ton of stuff to do. I love covering things in New York. And New York is a good place to cover things because you don't really feel like you missed out because there's always somewhere something you can do like in your little bit of downtime.
Right.
But you don't get to like, if you've always wanted to go to the 9/11 memorial, or if you always wanted to go to the Museum of Natural History, maybe you have time to do one of those things, but you probably don't, at least not in any kind of way that would be enjoyable.
Right.
My mom and I went to the Museum of Natural History a few years ago. It was fun, but we didn't time it out right because they have like summer camps that spend whole days there.
You got caught up with all the kids.
We thought in the summertime, like that would be the time where there's no kids there and it'd be easier to get around. No. They have
a little different than Waco.
Wednesday, like I'll tell you, I fought my mom on a lot of like summer camps when I was a kid. If we lived in New York, she's like, hey, I signed you up for the summer camp that goes to the Museum of Natural History every day. I've been like, book it. I'm going to sleep next to a friggin' dinosaur.
That was one thing. Like when we went to DC a few years back, they had still the Smithsonian. We didn't get to go to any of them because it was like right after COVID.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that was really kind of disheartening because I really wanted to go check those out. But we still got to go to like the Ford Museum and everything. But I really missed out on getting to go to the Smithsonian with that. That was one thing I wanted to do.
Yeah. I haven't been to the Smithsonian since I was 16 years old. And that's another great one. So Garrett, again, hearts out to Florida, all that going on. Let's get to today. We really just have kind of one topic that we'll go through,
right?
Which is I think this weekend is the payoff of realignment. Of all the strife and ugliness and stress, this is our first real realignment payoff. We're at the midpoint of the season, and now we're starting to see the matchups that we were sold.
Right.
Right? Like, this is why this is good. Because I think on the outside of realignment, you're like, well, do I care about this? Or, like, what's the benefit to me as a football fan? You know, but when you have Oregon and Ohio State and K-State and Colorado, I mean, Ole Miss and LSU would have happened anyway, but still the fact that it's, you know, a part of this weekend that you have these things and you have the big time matchups inside conferences, I think this is the payoff that we deserve as fans for all of the uprooting and change that we've experienced in the last 3 years. So I'm very excited about this college football weekend. I have to do comedy on Saturday night.
Oh, no.
Which I'm not a great scheduler. Like, I really should turn it all over to Amanda. But when I try to do that, she's like, I don't want to do that.
Right, I'm not your receptionist.
Oh, yeah, I know. She's like, are you going to pay me to do that? I'm like, you get to live in the house.
Yeah.
You know.
I bought you food.
Those are things, like, you know, I pay the bills here. Isn't that enough? She's like, no, that's just part of being married.
It's rigged, man.
You made that financial choice when you decided to have me move here. That's okay. Fair point.
So are you going to miss like the entire K-State Colorado game?
No, but not the entire game. The show's at 7-ish. We'll be done by 9. No, I won't
so
miss
you'll be
that
right
game
on
at all.
time then.
I'll be right on time for that one.
Yeah.
I'll be right on time for that one. Will I be able to stay awake for the whole game? That
probably not.
That's a question that comes with, can you defeat middle age for one day?
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not making it past halftime.
Yeah.
I can't. No. I literally have tried to stay up for these games. And I think it's cool, especially great for the Big 12, that you're getting more marquee matchups and you're getting the mainstream exposure that you are now. But at the same time, like, a lot of people, speaking personally for me, I can't stay up for these games. I don't know how many people truly can. Like, Craig is perfect for them because he's a night owl. But, dude, I can't catch half of these.
Okay. I will, if you would like to, I left Texas OU out of this. Again, a game that would have happened, but still, it's part of this weekend. I would like to describe to you, like, if you want me, I can't describe to you how Craig is a night owl compared to a morning person. Oh, but if you would like to know, it's not this week because we don't have a pregame show this week because Baylor's on bye.
Thank God.
But next week, when we do the pregame show at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. Well,
watch the first 10 minutes of Craig.
Hold on, though. Next week might not be as bad because Midway's on a bye.
Okay.
But you catch them after a Midway game and then
a Midway road game. Midway road game and then 9 a.m. start for the pregame show.
Not pleasant.
You'll see Craig, not the morning person.
Yep.
And you've never had to fly with Craig in the morning.
No, I think
our Super Bowl, our Big 12 Media Days flight wasn't early.
It wasn't early. That was about the earliest. I think the earliest I haven't flown early with him, but I think probably meeting when we did the Big 12 Pro Day. He was up pretty early.
Yeah. Oh, Big 12
Media
Days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was early, yeah. Yeah,
that's true.
You won't see Craig at the gate until right before we leave.
Right. I don't blame him, man.
He won't. I don't blame him, but he's a night owl. He's absolutely a night owl. So I'm not gonna make the guy be because you and I are morning people. We get up
straight
early.
Morning person.
I don't know what Emory is. I'm not sure. Emory just makes it happen.
That's why I hate if Baylor plays a night game and I gotta do the post game. I don't even know if I can make it to the post. It's miserable.
Were you here with me when they played at BYU, Garrett?
No. Okay. So Jacob produced that one.
I
did not.
So
I don't know if I would have made that.
I almost did. There were points during the overtime of that game where I was like, yeah. And the late night stuff is awesome that you can watch. That football's on from 11 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the morning. That's great. If I was single and 31, that's what I'd be doing. But married and 44. Can't do it.
It really is. It is perfect for the college kids. Like the students to embrace it. It is the perfect thing for them. Unless what game? No, it was Arizona. Unless you're like Arizona and you just don't show up to the stadium against Tech. But you would think most of the time that the students would embrace that, and that's what they would look forward to, and really create a raucous environment. But that was one thing that did catch me off guard, was how the crowd was pretty non-existent for that Arizona Tech game.
Yeah, I was surprised. At that.
But Tucson shuts down early, and it's kind of a weird city.
It's not Tempe.
No,
right?
Not at all.
But look, Tempe's just now understanding what it's like to see a win in a football game again. Yeah. And so that's another interesting game this week we'll talk about later on, is Utah and Arizona State. That one is Friday. It's tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. That kind of kicks off the weekend. That one I'm very intrigued by, because if Cam Rising doesn't play, all bets are off in this thing. Yeah. And Arizona State, Sam Levitt's better every week. Cam Scadaboo's really good. But we'll get to that.
They're not scared of Utah. They've seen them.
Yeah,
they don't
that's the other thing. Yeah, they're probably not intimidated. So,
I think the most underrated game this week for me is got to be Vanderbilt and Kentucky. Because how does Vanderbilt respond coming off that win?
They have a drop-off.
Yeah. But Kentucky also, though, right? Because Kentucky was able to take care of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But, like, that defense going against Diego Pavia, that's going to be fun as hell.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, there's just so much to get to. But I'm glad that we're finally getting our payoff. Mm-hmm. And it's happened a little bit, but there's like 3 of these weekends throughout the season now where you get these like, whoa games. Look, Texas has 2 in a row. They've got Oklahoma, which is their biggest rival. And then they've got Georgia, which is something, everybody wants to see. Like, that's the measuring stick. That, to me, is their true first Southeastern Conference measuring stick of,
man,
all right, are you ready for this? And Georgia's
not Georgia.
What?
Georgia's not Georgia.
Yeah, they're not.
They don't have the depth in the trenches. Like
they don't have the depth in the trenches, and now they've lost a couple of skill players to suspension.
Yeah,
and
honestly don't think. I think Texas can handle them. Honestly, now obviously we don't know what's going to happen this weekend with Red River, and then all of the energy goes into that, and then welcome in. It would be a lot different. I would feel more worried if I was a Texas fan if you had to go to Athens after this. But the fact that you're going right up to Dallas, and you can come home, and then they got to come to you, I think that's the difference in that game.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a huge difference. But again, like there's a lot of things to get to this weekend. We'll take a break right here. We'll come back. We'll dive into each individual game. We'll just go into Texas OU and Arizona and Utah, and K-State and Colorado, and kind of go through those things. This is the triple option. The one true triple option.
Yeah, buddy.
The only triple option that matters.
Screw you, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm coming for you, Fox. Listen, Rupert Murdoch, if you're listening, I'm not afraid of you, buddy. I'm not afraid of your sons. I'm not afraid of somebody named Rupert. I'll just tell you right now.
There you go.
If your name is Rupert, I'm not afraid of you, okay? Not afraid.